What up, all my fight fans? It's been a while. I know I have not been around for quite some time. I'm sorry, guys, but I really hope you guys had a great Christmas, a great New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. Hopefully, your guys' year is going to be a really great one. Hopefully we get some great fights, and that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about some great fights. First off, let's end 2024 with some fight talk, shall we? Let's end the 2024 with some of the things that we didn't really get to talk about. I'm not going to go break it all down. I'm not going to go through crazy amount of details, but we're just going to talk a little bit about it, such as like fight awards, who had the best knockout, fight of the year, etc., etc., etc. So for the UFC, when it comes to the fight of the year, you got to go give it to Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje. Those guys really let it all on the line. No, it really wasn't a back and forth war. It really wasn't like something that you would really remember, like a Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier. You get what I'm saying. But it still was really, really great. Something that you're definitely going to remember. And why you're going to remember it so much? Because at the end of the day, you're going to remember why this is the knockout of the year. Knockout of the year definitely has to go to Max Holloway. You know, what that knockout that he gave to Justin Gaethje, it was definitely the most impressive knockout of this year. You got to give it to him. I mean, the guy was pretty much leading the entire fight. He was winning the entire fight, and he really didn't need to do what he needed to do. But he said, hey, let's leave it all on the line. Let's leave it all right here in the octagon, in the cage. And what did they do? They scrapped. They brawled. They swung until one of them got knocked out. And the one that got knocked out was Justin Gaethje. And the one that won that fight was Max Holloway. So you got to give it to Max Holloway for knockout of the year. Submission of the year. You had quite a good few submissions. You know, you had Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. You had Bobby Green and Paddy Pimblett. You had DDP and Israel Adesanya. So there was quite a few good submissions this year. One, I got to give it to DDP. My personal opinion. Now, I know a lot of people are going to give it to Islam. I know a lot of people are going to give it to Bobby and just a few others. I got to give it to DDP because it's not just about the submission. It's about who you did it the submission to. My personal opinion. You know, we've seen Dustin get submitted a few times. Bobby Green's probably been submitted a few times. So it really wasn't too much of a shocker. The fact that DDP was able to submit Israel Adesanya is such a huge statement, because Israel Adesanya has been in there with some of the greatest grapplers of all time. He's been in there with some of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And for him to be stopped like that is such a big statement by DDP. So I got to give it to him. I got to give it to him. One of the other awards that you got to talk about is Fighter of the Year. Now, that one's a tough one. That one's a very tough one because you got, of course, Ilia Topuria, who knocked out Max Holloway and Volkanovski. Then you got Alex Pereira, of course, who pretty much dominated the light heavyweight division and was pretty much the most MVP, I guess you could say MVP of 2024, fought 3 times. He was injured. He wasn't 100%. So you gotta mention his name up there. And there's a few other fighters that made a statement, but it's really down between those two. My personal opinion, you got to give it to Ilia Topuria, because look at the competition that he went against. He was able to knock out Volkanovski, who is the GOAT of the featherweights, who is going to be on the Mount Rushmore of the featherweights. Then not only did he do that to Volkanovski, he did that to Max Holloway, who is also another GOAT, who is also on the Mount Rushmore of featherweights. So you got to give it to both these guys. You got to give it to Ilia Topuria. Not taking anything away from Alex Pereira. Great knockouts, great performances. No, I know he was injured through most of his 2024 run, so I'm really looking forward to him fighting this year. But yeah, I got to give Fighter of the Year to that one. You got to go with, excuse me, guys. You got to go with who had the most impressive year. I mean, like, who's basically, I guess, your rising star. I got to give it to Moicano. Moicano pretty much has had a really impressive year. I mean, this is a guy who's had a career, a little bit on a downward spiral, nothing crazy, but then he finally made a statement with, he's made a couple of statements with his performances throughout the year, and especially on the microphone. You know, he's making his way up. You know, ever since he left the featherweight division and went on to the lightweight division, he is definitely making a name for himself. So you really got to give it to the guy. You really got to give it to a guy who's pretty much been able to resurrect his career, make a bigger statement, a bigger splash in his career. So yeah, I'm really impressed with Moicano, for sure, 100%. And there you have it, guys. That to me is 2024. That to me is by far a very fun and successful year with the UFC, with MMA. That's my personal opinion, guys. Let me know what you guys think when it comes to the fights, when it comes to 2024 of UFC. Just let me know what you guys thinking and feeling. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.